My name's Christen Randolph, and I'm an attorney, but I am not currently practicing. I love artsy stuff, so I am currently making a line of soaps, and I have 2 kids that are amazing and a spectacular husband.
Awesome.
His name's Gray.
Cool. So tell us, your typical day. What does your typical day look like for eating?
Well, my typical day for eating is I get up and I really crave a lot of protein naturally. So a lot of times I'll have 2 eggs with a piece of cheese on it. Or sometimes we'll have bacon and eggs. I try not to eat too much fat, but I definitely eat enough fat, and I think that helps keep me full through until lunch. And then at lunch, I'm not starving typically. Mm-hmm. And then for dinner, we sit down as a family every night together. And I think that's really helpful. I think that's a really good thing, even for the kids. But it's good for my husband too, because he doesn't eat really poorly. He eats what we make, and we cook very healthy at home.
So if you had to give an example of like a percentage, would you say 70% of the time I eat clean, 30%, 80% of the time I eat clean, 20%? What would you say?
The percentage of time I eat clean depends on your definition of clean. So tell me what you think of.
My definition of clean would be lean proteins, lean proteins, fruits and veggies.
Oh, I would say 70% of the time we eat clean. Mm-hmm. At least 70% of the time we eat clean. For dinner, we typically have a protein, whether it's meat, like a lean beef or chicken, something like that, and then we have vegetables, and then we always have a salad. Every night we have a salad, even though we have vegetables, and then sometimes we have a starch, but we don't even always have a starch. So
how do you decide when you're going to eat?
I decide when I'm going to eat when I'm hungry. And I am typically hungry when I get up in the morning, and then around lunch, and then I have a snack in the afternoon, usually yogurt or some fruit or something to tide me over. And then we eat dinner fairly early, which is about 6:30. And I also think that helps, having an early dinner. So you're awake for a while before you go to sleep. I think that helps keep you slender.
So would you say that how do you know when you just want to eat or that your body's physically hungry? Do you hear your stomach growling, or what kind of triggers to you oh, I'm hungry now?
I think that my body will indicate to me that it's hungry, sometimes by my mood. Sometimes I realize I'm hungry and I need to go eat because I am not in a good mood anymore. And so that's, I think, one way. But another way, I think some of it is timing. I eat at a certain time every day, and since I eat at those times, I think my body is naturally hungry at those times. And so since I typically eat at 8 in the morning, even if I didn't get up until 7:30, I think I'll still be hungry at 8. If I get up at 5, I'll be hungry at 8. And I think that is conditioning.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. If somebody brings you food when you're not hungry, would you eat it?
It depends on the food. Mm-hmm. If it's candy or no. Mm-hmm. And even if I was hungry, I'd probably eat something before I ate the candy or cookies, just so that's not the initial consumption into my body, because then I'll continue to eat all of the candy or cookies. But no, I wouldn't.
Do you feel like you eat slowly?
No. Unfortunately, I don't eat slowly. And when I recognize that, which I do sometimes, I will slow down. And it is amazing to me how the speed of eating actually allows me to become fuller and not eat as much. When I eat quickly, sometimes I eat beyond full.
Yes, beyond
and then I am, oh my gosh, I feel miserable.
Yes. So how often does that happen, would you say? How often would you say you're like, oh, I ate too much?
Oh, not often. I would say
Repeat that question.
I would say I don't feel like I overeat that frequently. Maybe once every few weeks. I don't typically overeat. Sometimes if I skip a meal, then I might overeat because I'm so hungry, and then I might not make the best choices also because I'm so hungry. So.
Gotcha. Would you say typically if you had to choose, like, you eat 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, or would you say sometimes I just eat 2 meals, sometimes I eat 3 meals, sometimes I eat 1, or would you say most of the time I have 3 meals? What would you say?
So most of the time I have 3 meals a day, and for me I think that works the best. I have done a series of 2 meals a day, and I find that I'm not as disciplined during the eating time with 2 meals a day as I am with 3 meals a day. I feel free to overeat and eat things that are, I think, higher in fat and higher in calories when I have only 2 meals a day. So I think for me, 3 meals a day works out best, and that's what I do.
Do you count calories?
No. I do. Yes. No, I don't count calories. I never count calories. And I also sometimes eat at Burger King and, sometimes have dessert. But typically I don't have dessert because I have a really good dinner. And by the time I'm done with dinner, I'm full. And I'm comfortably full. And so I don't have dessert. Sometimes I'll feel the need to have something sweet every once in a while, like every few days, in the middle of the day. And for that snack, sometimes I'll indulge in something that's sweet.
So if you were going to have something sweet, what would it be?
If I were going to have something sweet, it would definitely be chocolate.
Okay.
I love chocolate.
And, so
and I feel like it's
how
healthy.
often would you say you would do that? Do you have chocolate every day?
No, I do not have chocolate every day. I would say that I have chocolate a few times a week, and not a lot. And I try to stick with the dark chocolate because there should be some health benefits.
So do you ever count your carbs or try to stay away from pasta or bread or anything like that?
So I don't count my carbs, and I really don't try to stay away from pasta and bread, but the way that we eat as a family, I think, is just naturally high in protein and vegetables, and so we don't have carbs very often, or if we do, I don't take much on my plate, and that's just, I think I don't know if it's how I was raised or just what I'm craving, but I typically don't crave a lot of carbs.
So how do you decide if you're going to eat carbs or not have carbs?
I don't really give any thought to whether or not I'm eating carbs. I don't think about it. It's just what I put on my plate that day. It's what I want.
So do you feel like you're really intuitive, like you listen to your body and say, what is my body craving right now?
I do. I think I'm very intuitive as far as that goes. And if my body's craving something, I will eat it. But if my body's craving 12 cookies, I'll eat 2. I don't normally eat 12 cookies. I have to say I probably have never eaten 12 cookies. But typically I do go ahead and eat a small amount of whatever it is my body's craving, whether it's chocolate or ice cream or but I don't ever do it.
So would you say that, like, if you had the choice between chips or sweets, which would you pick?
Oh, if I had the choice between chips and sweets, I think it really just depends on the day. whether or not I am craving something salty or sweet. I don't really, there's not a clear winner for me as far as chips and sweets go.
So, if you did, like, do you get on the scale at all?
I do.
Okay. And how often would you, so repeat that?
I do.
Often?
I do get on the scale, and I get on the scale every day.
Okay.
So.
What's the reason that you get on the scale every day?
I think the reason that I get on the scale every day is mentally, I'm comfortable at a certain weight, and even though it's, I'm sure, absolutely ridiculous because you wouldn't be able to tell if I gained 2 pounds, but I'm mentally comfortable at that weight, and so when I see myself deviating, I think, okay, tomorrow night, those 3 glasses of wine, not having those.
So then you just kind of pull back.
I do. I'll pull back and try to maintain. I maintain really pretty well within a certain framework, probably of about 3 or 4 pounds.
Would you want to tell us how much you weigh?
No.
You don't have to. I wouldn't tell anyone how much I weigh either.
Because people will, no matter, I don't want to tell you how much I weigh, and it's not because it would be bad, but if it's too much for somebody, then they'll say, oh my gosh, and if it's too little for somebody else, then they'll be critical because it's too little.
Too little, yeah.
So.
I agree. So when you're eating, do you feel like you really savor each bite, like tasting the food and, that sort of thing, or do you feel like you just are like
So I feel that when I eat, if I'm out to dinner or if I am chatting with a friend, then I'm much more likely to savor the food than if we are at home, unfortunately, and dinner's really fast, or breakfast is really fast. I don't necessarily savor my food, but I did do an athletic retreat with a friend, and during that time frame for 1 week, we had to eat over a certain, we had like 30 minutes, and you had to make your food last. And I realized how much I was rushing and how savoring my food was just a treat. It really was. And it's something that I would like to consciously think about when I eat, and should.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever feel deprived? Like, do you ever have this sensation like, I feel deprived from what I'm eating?
I never have the sensation of feeling deprived, because if I feel that way, then I just eat it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So if you had to put on a scale, let's say 5 was like Thanksgiving Day full.
Okay.
And then 4 was just comfortably full. But then like 3.8 would be like just under full,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then 0, so like you have the 0 to 5.
Right.
0 would be like, I'm ravenous. Like I'm just like ready to eat my arm off. And then 1 is my stomach is physically growling. Like I can hear my stomach growling. I know that I'm empty. Where would you say on a hunger scale from 0 to 5, 0 being really empty, 5 being full, would you say that when do you start eating and when do you stop? And try to, if you can go not just at 4, but say like 3.7 or 1.2.
So on a hunger scale between 1 and 5, I think
0
that,
and 5.
Oh, okay, on a hunger scale between 0 and 5, I think I start eating at probably 1.5. And when I am thoughtfully eating, I would stop eating at 4 or right under 4. But sometimes when I'm eating quickly, I probably get to a little bit over 4 and then would have been happier not having those last 5 bites. I do not like the feeling of being over full. To me, it's uncomfortable. But I also don't like the feeling of being starving or ravenous. So I think I think I like that feeling of being satisfied, but not overfull.
Okay, so then just say that one more time. Like, I like to start at a 1.5 and I like to end at like 3.8 or 4.
So when on the scale of 0 to 5 for the eating, I like to start at a 1.5 and then I like to end at probably right around a 4 or a little under a 4.
So do you do anything like my mom always carries nuts in her purse. Like, she's a real nuts person because she doesn't like to get too hungry either. So she, like, every time, like, you can, anytime, day or night, you can check her purse and she always has, you know, like raw walnuts or raw almonds in her purse. Do you have anything in your purse at any given time, or do you carry anything with you?
So I do not have nuts or any snacks in my purse at any given time, but my husband will always have a snack for me when we travel or go anywhere because he does not like it when I am hungry.
That's smart, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I also think that another part of feeling thin is feeling comfortable in your own skin and being happy with who you are. And I that's why I think the sitting down at a family dinner is, I think, really important, because it makes me happy, and I think it makes my children happy when they're home, and makes my husband happy. And I think that I think happy people eat less. Mm-hmm. I do.
So, talk to us about like what you do for working out. Like anything that you do for working out.
So I work out probably 5 days a week. I walk on the treadmill in an 8% incline and half run, half walk between 3.5 and 4.2 on the speed. And so that's a pretty good, the incline's pretty good. And then I usually do at least 700 calories. And then we walk the boardwalk.
So by the time you're done on that treadmill, you're doing 700 calories?
Yeah, I do 700 calories. Sometimes 800, sometimes 6, but it's typically about 700. And then I kickbox twice a week, and that is, I wear like a little chest thing, and that's right about 700 calories also. But it's a 700 calories that happens in a shorter time frame. And then on the weekends, my husband and I walk the boardwalk. Both days, and so that's really fun. And sometimes I do planks. Like, I really like that for a core workout, and the kickboxing includes it. And sometimes when I don't get to kickboxing, then we'll do planks on the weekends.
Cool. So if you were gonna give somebody advice on, you know, losing weight, like, do you feel like you ever use that? This is another one. Do you feel like you ever use food for other reasons than fuel in your body? Would you say, like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed, I need to get some donuts, or I'm so stressed, I need to eat a pan of brownies?
So I don't think I ever use food for anything other than hunger, as far as eating. Every once in a while, I think, I sometimes, if I don't feel well, like if I have motion sickness, can be confused at what the feeling is between being sick to my stomach and being hungry. And so I have noticed quite frequently that when we travel, I will just keep eating because I don't feel well, and it doesn't work. It doesn't help me feel better, but.
So, but as far as like, you don't feel like you're an emotional eater, like you'll have a bad day. So when you have a bad day, would you say you would eat more food or less food?
If I had a bad day, I think my food consumption probably stays the same, whether it's a good day or bad day. The only thing that changes is my alcohol consumption. Not good. So there'll be more wine on a bad day.
That's good. Okay. So do you have any things like, so one of the things that, you know, people have said to me is like, they look at the differential, meaning what they do is they say, like, let's say there was like a Greek yogurt pop. They really wanted something sweet, so they'd see like a Greek yogurt pop here, and then there'd be a regular ice cream, and let's say this was 100 calories and this was like 400 calories. And so let's say they look at those two and go, that's still gonna satisfy me the same. I might as well eat 100 calories. But then, like, let's say they were really craving steak. They're not gonna get chicken to save those calories, because in their mind, they really want a steak, so they're getting a steak. But in this case, it's like, both of them look pretty good, might as well get the one that's 100 calories.
So I definitely look at the differential and look at the food. If there is two that would equally satisfy me, or even if one of them is 150 calories and one of them is 400, and I might be a little more satisfied, I would probably still have the one that's 150 calories. Just
so if you love, let's talk about that. Like, say, like, give that example of the chicken and the steak, and
okay.
say what you would do. So say, like, just
right.
say, let's say I was at the restaurant.
Right.
And
okay. So, for example, if I was at the restaurant and I was really craving steak, there's no question I wouldn't get chicken. I would have the steak. But to me, they're not as comparable, because they won't really satisfy the same thing as an ice cream and a yogurt pop. Yeah.
Okay. And then would you say that you, like, is there any tricks that you do, like to eat less? Like, what are some tricks, like maybe like you ask the lady for like and so you're not sitting there like packing it, bringing it in, or what kind of tricks would you say that help you to eat less food?
So I think one of the tricks that helps me to eat less food is when we sit down, if we go out to dinner, I always ask for water. Even if I order a drink, I always ask for water, and I try to drink that water. And I like to have water without ice, so I can drink it before I eat. And then I think another thing is when we sit down as a family for dinner, is we have our salad first. And instead of having the salad at the same time, we usually eat our salad before we eat our dinner. And I think that probably takes up a little room in your stomach. So.
Gotcha. Would you say that, is there any other tricks that you think you do that still keeps you satisfied, but that is less calories? Like, you'd say, like, for example, you'd say, like, if I'm craving chocolate, I might first, see if a chocolate protein shake would satisfy me, or I would just, anything that you could do that would make you feel that way.
I think the only example of a choice where, what was the question again?
Like,
I'm trying to think how to rephrase it.
Anything that would make you have, like, as a substitute for less calories, right, kind of thing.
Really, the only thing that I can think of as far as a substitute for less calories is when we do have ice cream, we only eat Edie's slow churned, and it's half the fat, and it's also a little bit lower in sugar. Let me think. Oh, I do. Another thing I think that's absolutely fantastic, and I actually just found this out, Walmart has something called Bubbly, and it's actually a sparkling water that has only natural flavors in it, and it tastes so great. We were shopping for my son. We had a pre-homecoming party this weekend, and we bought tons of Bubbly. All of it gone. And we tried it. It's fantastic. I'm trying to think of what else.
So name some things that you love to indulge on, that you say some people are like, I have a weakness for Krispy Kremes, and like when I eat it, I eat half of one or something like
Right.
that. Like any kind of weakness that you have that you say.
I love steak, and I like the fat. I know I'll eat the fat off of everybody's steak at the table, which is not good, but I love it. I don't know that there really is anything that I don't stop eating. I can't really think of anything.
Cool.
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm going to see. So the only other thing I was thinking, so they're doing, hold on, let me see where Allie is.
Do you have something that if you start, you're like, oh, I can't stop?
I would say I probably crave chocolate at least 3 or 4 times a week. I think that after I eat, this is a real problem for me, because after I eat, I'm gonna ask that question.
Okay.
So after you eat, do you want something sweet? Like every time I
Right.
eat, I always want something sweet after I eat.
So typically after I eat, I really, especially dinner, I don't want anything sweet because I'm comfortably full and full enough. And I think the fact that we typically have wine, like a white wine at dinner, that's sweet. And so it may satisfy that craving of something sweet after dinner. But my husband does eat dessert every night. And so I guess he does crave something sweet, but I don't.
So if you had to estimate like how much sugar you got in your diet per day, just to estimate, including things like wine or fruit or like they could be natural sugars,
Right.
But they still have sugar, what would you say?
Gosh, I don't know that I could estimate how much sugar I eat a day because I don't really have a good concept of how many teaspoons of sugar is in, like, fruit. But not much. I think in general, a majority of the calories that I consume would be from protein and fat. Unfortunately, it should be more vegetables, but I think the fact that maybe that I eat a little higher protein, higher fat diet makes me not as hungry the next go round. I don't know if that makes any sense,
Yes.
but
So if you, do you consciously say, I'm gonna make sure that in every single sitting, I'm eating some protein and fat? And where did that come from?
I think that growing up, my mom is from Denmark, so and my dad is like a really healthy eater. So my mom cooked a lot of stuff that had protein and fat in it, and my dad was really strict on the way he ate, and so we would watch. Like he never ate dessert. He ran triathlons, all that kind of stuff. And I think that was kind of a natural thing at the table. And so maybe I have picked up, that in eating that way. But I don't consciously do it. But if I look at what I've eaten just in the last week at every meal, I have, there would be protein and fat. In the mornings, if I'm having eggs and I don't have cheese or bacon, I'll have avocado.
So try to think back and tell us okay, so far today, what have you eaten so far?
2 eggs over easy with a piece of cheese on them.
Okay. And then
And coffee with milk, because we do espresso, so 2 shots of espresso with steamed milk, and I had 2 of those. And so that's,
Okay.
you know,
And then, so that was at what time?
probably 8 o'clock. No, it was before that. It was probably 7:15 because, yeah.
So it's 1 o'clock now. So are you hungry right now? On a scale of 0 to 5, what would you be right now?
So I would say on a scale of 0 to 5, I'm a 2.
Okay.
I'm getting to the 1.5. So yeah, but I had a coffee when I came here with a little cream in it. And,
So that holds
yeah,
it over.
I think so.
And then, so then describe yesterday. What was yesterday's food looking like?
Gosh, I think. Okay, so for breakfast yesterday, I had a piece of toast with 2 pieces of cheese on the toast and a pear.
So how often do you have that toast?
Maybe once a week. We
So
were
you had
at
a toast with 2 pieces.
2 pieces of cheese. We were out of avocados
Okay.
and a pear because we got the Harry and David delivery.
Oh, I love those
I know.
things.
So I don't always eat fruit, but it was there. Then for lunch, I had a turkey sandwich with cheese and avocado because I went and got some avocado before lunch.
And how much of
and
the sandwich did you eat?
I ate the whole sandwich and mayonnaise and mustard on the sandwich.
Okay.
And I think the fact that there was avocado and mayonnaise on the sandwich helps me get through. I had a snack in the afternoon. I think I had a one of the Siggies, like yogurts with low sugar. And then for dinner, it was Monday, no meat night, meatless Mondays. And so we did a tostada with beans and cheese and onions and some sauces. And lots of lettuce on them. And that was it. Yeah, and I wasn't hungry for dessert, so. But you know, I mean, if I was, there was some dark chocolate sitting on the counter, and I saw my husband and my son both eating the dark chocolate. So, and it just sits on the counter.
So I know you don't count your calories, but if you had to estimate how many calories that you think you eat in a day, what would you say they are? Would you say like probably each meal, like
2,300? I mean, I would guess that I eat 2,300 calories a day.
but because you're burning like 700 calories a day.
Right. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, that's my guess. Because I don't count my calories, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you were like, if let's say you got on the scale and you had gained 4 pounds, does that ever happen where you got on the scale and all of a sudden you gained 4 pounds?
It's only happened once. Hadn't been that long ago. I have decided to get off of. I'm on hormone therapies for menopause. Thank you. But and I'm getting off of the hormone therapy and to see if I can tolerate it not being on it, because I don't like, it's a mental, but I don't like the fact that when I got on that scale, I didn't like what it said. And I was scared that it was going to continue to creep up. It's taken me 2 years, but it was about 4 pounds. And it's taken me 2 years to creep up there, and I just didn't like it. And so far so good. Feels good. And I've already lost a pound and a half.
So what do you do? Like when you say, okay, I'm seeing that I've gained a cup. So would you say when you gain 2 pounds on the scale, or would you say when you get up in the morning, the scale is pretty much the same every time? So answer that one first.
So when I get up in the morning, I used to be much more fanatic about it. I would get on the scale every single morning, no clothes, exactly, so I would know exactly. Since I've gone through menopause, I've been a little more relaxed. I think it's because I didn't want to see what it was going to say. But really, I would say at least every 2 days, and if it's up 3 pounds. I mean, one of the things we have decided to do is do meatless Mondays, and we don't drink on Mondays, like even a glass of wine, and Tuesdays, and incorporating the vegetables. But just, I think I literally think that looking at the scale and seeing that in the back of my mind, when I'm eating over the next few days, I know it. and I just naturally try to eat less or eat healthier, so that the next time I get back on the scale, I'm hoping it'll be right where I'd like it to be or close enough.
So would you say that, like, when you're looking at the numbers, you would say, okay, let's say you always eat at a 3.9 for the most part, and then you said, okay, I gained 2 pounds. Now I'm gonna stop eating at a 3.7.
So how do I rephrase that?
So just say, like, on the hunger scale, if I was
right.
originally
So
eating.
I wouldn't. So on the hunger scale, when I am struggling with that amount, that, let's say, the extra 2 pounds, extra 3 pounds, I don't think I change when I eat or when I am finish eating on the 0 to 5 hunger scale. But what I think I do is in each of those meals, I will be more cognizant of the amount of calories that are in each meal. While I don't count calories, I do know, like, if I eat, an avocado, and then I also have, like, tons of nuts, and I have a steak, that's a lot more calories and fat than if I have, a piece of chicken or a piece of fish and vegetables, which is you're so good at. So I think I'll just naturally probably go and have a piece of fish and vegetables, instead of something that would be a little healthier a little heavier that I might typically eat, like some meat and, something like that.
So we're bringing in, we brought in, do you like Chipotle? Do you eat Chipotle?
Yeah, I eat
like
anything.
it?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you how you felt. We'll turn, because I just want to chit chat
Right,
with you, but
okay.
we'll turn off we'll turn off the audio for it.
Right.
But what we'll do is we're gonna video, like, the beginning of your food and
Right.
and the end of your food.
Okay.
So, but we'll turn
Right.
the rest of the stuff off so it won't be recorded
Right.
what we say or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'll just eat here. Is
Right.
that okay?
Yeah,
with you?
yeah. I was gonna
Okay.
take you out to lunch.
No.
All right. So
sweet.
but I do want, at some point,
Yeah.
I want to show you this. Okay, you know the guy that they wrote up in the soap guy the other day, wrote up in the paper.
No, I didn't see
Oh,
it.
you didn't say he just made
Uh-uh.
$6 million selling soaps,
Really?
and all he does, he has 9 soaps. That's it, and he sells to
What's the
men.
name of it? I'm gonna pull it up.
Dr. Squatch. And you've got to, I want you to see his videos. I gotta get my glasses.
Yeah, good.
We
can pull it up on here.
I have my computer.
Yeah, pull it
I
up.
have my computer in the car, but I also wanted to
Good.
ask you.
You want to go grab it real quick?
Yeah, let me go grab
Grab it. Ooh, I see it. Dr. Squatch.
Yeah. Okay, watch his videos, like some of his videos. They
Okay.
are so
Sounds good.